should not be paying a penalty for raising the next generation. Why, right?
Since you're in Korea for, the problem about the Korean's problem in low fertility rate, do you have any idea on what do you think is the reason for such a low fertility rate in Korea, and what we can do to improve the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to contextualize, so many developed nations around the world are facing a similar thing of, low fertility rates. The science is, it's clear that, for a population to maintain its population, believe it or not, I think it's like 2.3 babies per woman. And, in most developed nations, it's going down. In the US, I think it's like 1.6. In this country, it's 0.76. Why is this? Why is this happening across the world? I think that it really, as industrialized nations, we've turned what is a very difficult thing, right? Parenting is hard. Let's be clear. We love our children, right? We will do anything for our children, but it is incredibly difficult. And as we've become industrialized nations, what's happened is the role of parenting, right? Raising the next generation of society has fallen squarely on the shoulders of parents, especially mothers. And society has said, oh, good, it's all on you. But this is not the way it was in the past, right? And so now that it's become all on parents, especially mothers, and not only is there the stress, the financial stress, the penalty at work, why is this happening? And the fact that, parents are less happy than non-parents, why is this happening? In some ways, this is a rational response to an impossible situation. And how can this change? I think that this can only change when it becomes that it's not just on parents, not just on you, like how are we going to change this? But society understands that parents are the key to building society's future. And unless we start building policies that better support parents, especially mothers, both at home and in the workforce, that we shift social norms, because so often this is, because society has convinced parents, especially mothers, it's all on them, they hold such a burden. And unless we lift that burden and shift the norms, in this country and others, we will be facing this cliff. So for all those parents out there, not only do I want you to know, look, I want you to understand the 3 T's and the power of the brain science, but I want you to know that that you are the key to society's future, and you deserve the support that is necessary to raise the next generation. And so, yes, I've been thinking a lot about what we need to do, and I could spend another 2 hours telling you. But it comes down to society, the same things that children need for optimal brain development: time, enrichment, and protection from stress. Parents need the same things, and society needs to provide them with that. They need to give time for parents. They need enrichment in the form of financial and that type of support, and protection from toxic stress. Women should not be paying a penalty for raising the next generation, both in the workforce and at home. Anyways, I felt like I just gave a speech, but I feel very strongly that you all are the future, are providing the future for this country.
So parents, mothers and parents themselves cannot really solve this problem. It's the society's work together to support them to raise their children. Because I sometimes in a dilemma, because I talk about evidence-based parenting knowledges to them, and it often comes down to this mother's role. It's so important in their development, and it takes the form of, how to say, labor, that
invisible labor,
the human resource that you really have to, because you can't just let them develop. They need social interactions, and that takes mothers heavy role, and you have to be with them, you have to interact with them 24 hours. And then that kind of message that I'm sending out to parents, I often feel it's too much for them. And then I don't know, I need to find a balance between, it's important to provide those support to your children, but also, you have to, have your own time, and having more own time, it contradicts to, you have to be alone without children. And that is really hard, it's really hard
I 100% not only understand, but agree. And actually the funny thing is that this was my first book, which I love and I feel very proud of. But I wrote another book called Parent Nation, which is really about how can the brain science that informs what we do at the individual level inform a society that better supports parents? Because it's not one or the other. Yes, we need children to have rich, nurturing environment, but parents and parenting doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a society that supports parents. And so, please go to parentnation.org because you can use that framework. But I would love to continue these discussions because until we shift these norms, I totally agree. And keep reminding parents that it's not all on you. Yes, evidence-based parenting is the key. We will all go to the ends of the earth for our children. I know I will. I know you will. I know the parents of Korea. But we got to change things so that we have a future.
The same, do you have same situation in US that parents are more, they feel more stressed about their role as a parent, and they feel like they're much burden on their shoulder? Is it the same situation as in the US?
It is absolutely the same. I mean, our fertility rates aren't quite as low as yours, although I'm sure fast forward, we are the only country, only developed nation not to have paid family and medical leave. In our country, 1 in 4 mothers has to go back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. 2 weeks. I know, it's crazy.
So what do? Do they hire somebody to take care of their?
Well, it depends on their economic level. Some make do with whatever they can get. Our childcare, we don't. It's very expensive childcare here in our country. It is obscene. It is really difficult in our country. So yes, we are facing the same issues. There's something called the parental happiness gap. I don't know. Do you know about that?
Not exactly.
So there's research actually done by researchers Jennifer Glass and colleagues that talks about the parental happiness gap. You see, in most developed nations, parents are less happy than non-parents. Did you know that? Yeah. Parenting is very hard. Look, we love our children, but it's hard.
Yes.
But the parental happiness gap, she found in countries that have better family supports, that have, paid family leave that's long, high quality childcare, that, support women in the labor force. I can't remember all the information. They have a smaller happiness gap, right? But in countries like the United States, where we give nothing to parents, we make it harder for them, there is a huge parental happiness gap. I'm not sure, I have to look up what Korea is, but, we need to shift that, right? Because when you asked me in the beginning about the fertility issue, why does this happen? It's rational,
yes,
right?
If you get less happy,
if you're going to be less happy, you're going to be poorer, and society doesn't realize how important you are for the future. Why, right? Because the truth is, once you have a child, we will do anything for our children, and we know that. So why enter it? So yeah, we need to do some major shifting. We can do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Supporting last comment to Korean parents who are watching this.
Yes. So parents, as mothers and fathers, especially mothers of young children, I want you to give yourself grace. Remember what you are doing You are building society's future. And as long as you love and, know that there is good enough parenting, it's going to be okay. I promise you. I'm a scientist, but I'm also a mother. Your children are going to be okay. But I also want you to remember those 3 T's, tune in, talk more, take turns. Those are not just powerful for building your children's brains, and use them every day, but use those 3 T's to send the message to your family, to your community, to your society, that you deserve support. You are critical for the society's future, and that you deserve the support. And I thank you for listening to me. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I think I'm about to cry.
Oh, no.
So love that. It's beautiful. 네, 오늘 데이나 서스킨드 교수님과 부모의 말, 아이의 뇌에 대해서, 그리고 얼마나 육아가 아름답고 가치 있는 일인지에 대해서 이야기를 나눠봤습니다. 데이나 서스킨드 교수님의 your book Parent Nations, is it going to be in Korea?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to convince them, because that's really the one. We should convince them together and get you to write the beginning.
Okay.
Because honestly, I want to reframe it around, not just a fertility crisis, but how a nation, I don't want this to be one more thing on the parents' shoulders. I want society, businesses can play a big role. I mean, there's a lot of social norms that need to change in this country, in our country. So we should talk about it. We should do it together.
Okay. 데이나 서스킨드 교수님의 또 다른 책, Parent Nations라는 책이 아직 한국에는 번역이 되지 않았지만 방금 말씀드린 부모의 어떤 육아의 가치, 그리고 우리 사회가 그거에 대해서 할 수 있는 일에 대해서 굉장히 잘 쓰여진 책이 있거든요. 영어로 혹시 읽으실 수 있는 분들은 한번 꼭 읽어보시고, 그 교수님의 책이 한국에 들어오면 제가 또 소개를 드리도록 하겠습니다. 오늘은 여기까지 공부하는 엄마의 근거 있는 육아 정보 베싸였습니다.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was fun.